Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. In this episode, we want also to introduce some artwork, as we did more than one time. Now, in the artwork, there's also poetry, and all, apart from the pictures and exhibitions and all that history, some of it old in time, some of it new. But anyway, for that we will see what it comes later. Now we can start with the first artwork, which is wanted. is this? The artwork is, as you can see, it is the Fourth Ode, which is by Tarafah. Anter Ibne Shaddad is very well-known poet. He was one of the great poets of the old Arabic type, and he died young at 26 or something of that nature. Some of his poetry is full of ideas and wise thinking, and he spoke about different issues. Some of them are social, some of them are political, some of them are just about love or beauty or things which is, of course, a lot of poets speak about as part of what we are trying to explain. Now, the poetry itself is Muallaqat. Muallaqat, i.e. the piece which is now used to, the old Arabs used to select a piece of poetry from certain poets who used to be on the top of their ranks, and they keep that poetry written in gold on silk and hanged on the Kaaba. This is why it is called Muallaqa, i.e. the piece which has been hanged on the Kaaba. That's what's the thing. And of course there are only 7 or 10 of these Muallaqat, i.e. from the whole system of that system of selections. When you are talking about thousands of poets, only about between 7 and 10, some will say only 7, some will say 10 Muallaqat, i.e. the hang pieces. So so Tarafah was one of those people who've been selected those times. Now the artwork here, as we spoke, has all the al-Muallaqa, which is all the poetry in this piece, all of it written, all of it here. And of course it's about 100 or so lines. Now it's about 117 lines of poetry. Now that is the starting from this, and you can go all that and carry on like this till you finish 117 of those. Of course, we don't have time to read all these, but of course the people who are interested, it's easy for them to go back to the sources, like this book, which is called Jamharat Ash'ar Arab, which means the if you like, the collection of the most important poems of Arabic, old Arabic especially. That is one thing. Now this piece of artwork has been published, apart from the exhibitions, which is we're going to speak about, but being published a few times also in more than one place. Now, again, here we can see it again in this book, which is, of course, this book is familiar to us because we've shown it in more than one time, which says Science of Our Times. This book. So you have the artwork here being published, and also it has been published in other magazines, something like that. Catalog and a book and a magazine. This magazine is called Al-Rajul, which is very well known. Used to be published in this country, in Britain, an Arab magazine called this, and the what do you call it? here we are. Now, yeah. And let me see if we can see it also in this book. Let me, I cannot see it here. So let us, must be somewhere here. Ah, here we are. Yeah. Again, it is here in this book. So this piece of artwork has been exhibited in 1993. That was an Linacre College of Oxford exhibition we had to my work in London. That is one time, and also it was exhibited in Malaysia, and also was exhibited in about 2 or 3 other exhibitions in more than one place. One of them, I think, in Denmark, and the other one was in London, and a few others like that. When it comes to the explanation of the poems, of course, it is a very long piece of poems, which is 117, as we said, lines. Anybody who wants to read the if you like, very much like the translation, where there are few books in English who are translating this. One of them is this, which is called by Desmond O'Grady, the 7 Arab Odes. This is what says, one of them is here, talking about, shall we say, the thing. Now, I mean, of course, as we spoke, that this is a long piece, and it's going to be difficult for any of us to read that. It takes time, and also here we are. Now, the other one is the other ode of Anter. Anter is one of the very well-known Arab poets, and also was a champion, if you like, of certain causes. He was defending his tribe those days, Abbas, and he was very well known. He was a son of a black woman and a son of the sheikh of that tribe. So he was in one way being discriminated at in the beginning because of his relations with that, but in the same time he proven himself that he was very courageous and very honorable and very poetically powerful, and therefore he took his place, and he became one of the most important people in that area and that time. His poems are very well known and speaks a lot of beautiful ideas and a lot of wisdom. So this is the artwork. This is the artwork which we are talking about. This is the poem, the Muallaqat. Again, his piece has been selected to be written on gold, on silk, and then hanged on the Kaaba. This is one of the 7 or 9 or 10 Muallaqat, hanged pieces. Now, so this also has been exhibited many times in London and different places, and also in I think in Holland and in different places, and being sold in one of these Christie's auctions about, well, 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, 4 or 5 years ago. Now that is again is one of those. Now when it comes to the translation, again we have the same thing here, that Anter work has been also translated. You could see this is how this looks like, the name, and his talking about his work is yeah, something like 100 or so lines. And this is what this. We are not going to be able to read any of that. People who are interested, of course, it's easy for them to find out, inshallah. Now let us see if these have any of Anter's. All right, this magazine last time. Now again, that doesn't have that, but this must be. we must have this again here, most probably. Yes, we have that here. This book, so that when it comes to publications, this in one of my books, we have a section which comes to story reading, that we have a story, a nice story. It has a lot of ideas behind it. It gives you a sense of understanding of the society those days and how people think and how people work. Now, this is one of those stories which says that it's about somebody, a very well-known judge called Iyas ibn Muawiyah. Iyas ibn Muawiyah was very clever and very intelligent and educated judge, and he was very famous in those times. Somebody came to him asking him to judge against somebody, to issue an order against somebody who took some of his money and he never wanted to give it him back. So these two people came about, and he said, "Ayyuha al-Qadi, please judge, this man took my money and he never wanted to give it to me back." So the answer of the person who's been accused is to say, "I never took any money from him." But he said he took. The judge asked the first person to say, the accuser, I said, where did you give him this money? He said, "Well, I gave him that money we were sitting under a certain tree in, far away from here, and I gave him that money, and he denied that I gave him any money. Anyway, so he said to him, "Okay, now, if you know the tree and you know where it is, why don't you go find out there in the tree? It means that you go to the tree and find out if it is still there or not, and let me wait here." Now, the person who's been accused, he was sitting near the judge also. So the judge's trick was that when he left this person sitting with him for, say, half an hour or an hour or something like this, and he asked him, "Do you think that your friend who came here accusing you, do you think that he already arrived to that tree, or didn't he arrive to the tree yet?" And that was a big trick for the people who know. So the accused, he said, "No, he didn't arrive to that tree yet." He said, "Okay, so you know where it is, the tree, and you know how long, how far it is, and you know that was true." So anyway, so what happened is that the judge was able to, if you like, bring about an admission of the person without doing any other ways of means. He just used his psychological understanding of people, how they behave and how they think and how they do. So that's how it is. Anyway, the person, of course, had to admit and then had to pay the money back to the person who accused him. That gives you an idea that the judge didn't do anything. He didn't force anything. He just used the person's, if you like, intuition. He used intuition how to look at that, and he brought about an admission from that person who was guilty and who was denying by taking any money. So that's one of those things which might be a good idea for us to understand. What is the role of a judge? It is not only to force people to admit things by force, but also to find out how they are going to be able, shall we say, to find out their thoughts and ideas to make them admit things when they are guilty, of course. Absolutely. Thank you for that. Here we are. We have no coffee today. It looks me. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Water is nice also. Bismillah. We have another a section, small section, which is we think it is going to be very important, and we, as we do, have this idea some time ago about introducing through art Islamic science and Islamic scientists. For people who know that all the science of the day, all the basis of the scientific development today, doesn't matter how advanced, doesn't matter how wide or how deep the science of today is based on Islamic scientific thoughts and ideas and work has been done for nearly 1,000 years, where Muslims were basing all this platform of science, development of science, understanding the how to, starting from, shall we say, trial and error type of a methodology on science. When some of this, we have this nice book which says that by Jalal Mutahhar, he is talking about Islamic civilization, and he spoke about he collected a lot of sayings from different very well-known writers, historians, and scientists themselves, talking about Muslim science. Now we have so much of that here, but anyway, we can start it with this, just like this. He spoke about, let's say, George Saraton, Will Derwent, John Derber, Humboldt, Richard Cook, Doc Alba, R. Nixon, Sidio, Libri, Gustave Le Bon, and the British British Encyclopedia. And carry on like that. All that, of course, as you know, in Arabic, says that some of this he says here he says ينبغي لنا أن ننظر إلى العرب باعتبارهم المؤسسين الحقيقيين للعلوم الطبيعية آخذين هذه السمة من مفهوم من العلوم الطبيعية في عصرنا هذا. He says that we need to look at Arabs, i.e. Arabs and Muslims in this case, as the real founding people or scientists, whom the real finders of the science of the day, and we all take this for granted because it is the right thing to do, whatever it is, that something like that. This is So that is one of those things which might be a good idea for us to remember, and we might be able to do it every for different episodes. Ladies and gentlemen, we just spoke about two pieces of artwork. Both of them were Muallaqat, i.e. these hanged pieces of poetry on the Kaaba in all times. One of them is by Tarafa Ibn al-Abd, who was a very young man, who died very young man, and he was one of the most important Arab poets. And the other one was by Anter Ibne Shaddad, who was a black, if you like, his mother was black and his father was white, but his father was sheikh, i.e. leader of tribe or something like this. Therefore, he had if you like, a bringing of people with courage and fighting and all that kind of stuff, and of course with beautiful poetry, and he was a fantastic poet. Therefore, he later on recovered his position and his prestige in his area and his people, and became one of the most important leaders. One of the most important, again, is that he was one of the most important poets through history. So it is not only about that he was courageous and fighter and the rest of it, but also he was a spokesman of that region, of that time, where people think a poet and a spokesman like that weights much more than anything else around. So that is these two pieces. We also spoke about one piece of wise sayings about how my country or yours or any country in that matter, how any of us will see that their country, doesn't matter if whatever they do, they are always going to be dear to them, and it is their country. They love their country. They will defend their country, and they will do everything in their country a favor, as a natural understanding of human beings. And also that piece of way is saying that even if my countrymen, even if my society deny me, shall we say, favors, but I still love them and think that they are generous and important. That's what it is. This is what the saying says. This is, we took from that book, and it is in English and Arabic again. So that's that. The other one which we spoke about is that we need to introduce a few, shall we say, a few minutes in every episode like this, something to do with Islamic science, as the Islamic science is the founding, shall we say, base of all the science of today. No matter what, no matter how deep or high or developed this science of today, or how wise and wide, Islamic science is the platform which has been done for nearly 1,000 years, and there are hundreds of scientists and historians and writers talking about that, and we mentioned a few names. Of course, we cannot read these what they say, because it's a long story, and it's at least we have many books of that time. We have also, shall we say, this book, which is very well known. It's this talk about, shall we say, you can see that all these indications of what we call it, subjects to read about. Now, but the science idea and the science, the Muslim science, and we have so many here also. Most of this, a lot of this, you can see that there's so much of this. Hopefully we might be able to bring some of the book later, these books in English and also in Arabic to be seen also, if that is important. But of course there's a lot of this has been written, and it is important for people to understand that, and it is important for people to come back and find out how things been developed around the world. All this new development didn't come just like out of magic. It's done by people, either as we said, as the Muslims and the Arabs of those days for 1,000 years were developing and working hard and discovering and inventing and all that, the rest of it, and documenting and the rest of it. Or what is happening now, where the next stage, where mainly the Western countries took this development and add to it and worked hard to it and to improve it and to bring in new ideas and bring in new thoughts and new experiment. So that's why it is important for any of us to be aware of that, and to also to enjoy the results and to understand any achievement in any subject, in any field. It cannot come by just wishing. It is, you need to work. We all of us need to improve, work hard to achieve good things, and hopefully all these good things are going to be in the service of humanity. Thank you very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you later.